So let me share my screen. 1 minute. Hope my screen is visible, right? Please let me know in the chat box. Yes, that's great. So in our previous sessions, what we have discussed so far is yeah. So we have discussed about class, shallow copy, deep copy, super keyword, static function. This and all things we have discussed, and we have also discussed about different type of cases. Like in polymorphism, only we have discussed different type of cases, like what is going to happen. And next, we have also discussed, this super keyword, and we have also discussed about a static function, function static. This and all things we have discussed, and we have also discussed about four cases, right? Yeah. And so in this particular session, let us have one more key discussion. Let me open the tool over here. Yeah. So let's say if I'm going to have a simple module which is known as test. Okay. So if I'm going to have a simple module test, and inside this I'm going to declare a class which is known as let's say parent underscore class, and this class is going to have one property and one function. Let's say the function is display function, and this function what it's going to do is, let's say, displaying from parent class. Okay. So I'm basically writing the displaying from parent class and followed by end function. Okay. And followed by end class. I've written over here. And I've declared one more class which is known as child underscore class. Okay. Which is basically extending from my parent underscore class. Okay. Now here I'm going to write down from one more function, and I'm going to write down my same name. Basically, I'm trying to override my parent class function. Okay. So if I'm going to have the same name in my child as well as my parent, then that particular process is known as overriding. Okay. So I'm going to write down displaying from child class. Okay. And followed by end function and followed by end class. Now, within an initial beginning block, what I'm going to do is simply for parent class, parent underscore class, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a handle. And for child class, I'm going to create one more handle. So for parent class, I'm creating one handle. And for child class, I'm declaring one more handle. Okay. So let's say for child class handle, if I'm going to declare two handles, C underscore H1 and C underscore H2, I'm declaring two handles for my child class. Now, here, what I'm going to do is let's assign let me create the object for my parent class. Okay. Now, using my parent class, if I'm going to call the display method, obviously your display method which is present inside your parent will be called. And if you're going to call the display method using your child class handle, obviously the method which is present inside your child will only be called. That is clear cut, clear. Okay. Now, let's say if I'm going to write down parent is equal to child. This is not possible. We can write simply C child is equal to parent. Can we write like this? Can we write child is equal to parent? Is it possible? Can we assign? Now is my voice clear? Yeah. So can we write child is equal to parent? Is this assignment possible? No, a child cannot point to a parent, right? Exactly. A child cannot point to a parent. Okay. So that's why what I'm going to do. P underscore H is equal to C underscore H1. Okay. Now that means your parent class is now pointing, your parent class handle is now pointing to a child class object, right? Now, if I am going to call P underscore H dot display, what is that? Which particular display method will be called? Whether the parent one or the child one? If I'm going to call the display method using my parent class handle, which particular display method should be called? Whether the parent class handle, parent class method, or the child class method? But actually, which particular method should be called? But actually, which particular method? Okay, child I will create. Sorry. C underscore H1 is equal to, yeah. Okay. Yeah. But actually, which particular method should be called? Here, if you are going to make this assignment, your parent is basically pointing towards the child class object. And if you are going to call the display method, your child display method should be called. But it was not happening. This we have also seen in our previous session also, right? End model. So what is happening? Let me run it and let me show you. Yeah, child should be called, but yeah, exactly. We need to make our parent class. We need to declare it as virtual. So we are going to declare this as virtual so that our child class method will be called when we are going to call this particular display using the parent class handle. So see over here, we are getting the display from the child class. This is all clear. This we have already discussed in our previous session also. Now, what I'm going to do over here is, let's say if I'm going to write down, let me create the memory for the second object also. Now, what I'm going to do over here is, okay, without creating, let's check it out. Let's say if I'm going to write down C underscore H2 is equal to P underscore H. Is this particular assignment valid or invalid? This particular assignment is valid or invalid. C underscore H2 is equal to P underscore H. Okay, waiting for the responses, other responses also. C underscore H2 is equal to P underscore H. What is that we have done? Is it valid or invalid? Okay, logically speaking, is this valid or invalid? What do you think? Okay, let me draw the scenario over here. So, what is that I'm having over here? I have a parent object, parent class handle, which is basically pointing towards a child class object. This is nothing but my C underscore H1. That means this parent class handle which I have created, right? It is nothing but it is now acting as a child class object because we have achieved a polymorphism. So the parent class handle is acting as a child class handle, right? Now, so this P underscore H, you can assume it as a child class handle since it is pointing to a child class object, right? Now, the C underscore H2 is one of the child class handle. What are we doing over here? We are basically assigning C underscore H2 is equal to P underscore H. And this is a child class handle. This is basically child class handle. And this is also a child class handle since it's pointing towards a child class object. Now tell me, is this assignment valid or invalid? Now tell me, whatever the assignment I've done over here, right? Is it valid or invalid? Now tell me, by seeing this particular thing, what you feel? Is it valid or invalid? Obviously valid now. Why it's valid? Because C underscore H2 is a C underscore H2 is a child class handle. P underscore H is also a child class handle. Since that particular handle is pointing towards a child class object, so both the assignment is valid. Am I right or wrong? Yes or no? Please respond in the chat box. Is it clear, guys? Am I audible? Yes. Okay. So let us run this particular simulation and let us check it out whether what are we going to get over here. See. So test bench number 9 we are getting one error. Display. See. Incompatible typeset assignment. C underscore H2 is child class. P underscore H is parent class. Now also the compiler is assuming your P underscore H as parent class only. We have created this particular assignment, but this assignment is not yet, the compiler is still thinking that P underscore H is a parent class only. Here, whatever the analysis we have done, right, P underscore H is equal to C underscore H. If we are going to write P underscore H is equal to C underscore H, we are thinking that now our parent is pointing towards our child object. Yes, it is pointing, but compiler during our declaration, what we have declared this PNS coverage, we have declared this PNS coverage as parent class only. So the compiler is still assuming this PNS coverage as parent class, and when we are trying to make this assignment happen, this is not allowed. The compiler is not allowing it. Okay, that's the reason we are going to get a runtime error. If you carefully observe, we are not getting a compile time error. We are going to get a runtime error. Okay, now how to fix this particular error? We are going to fix this particular error using a concept which is known as casting. Okay, so we are going to use a particular concept which is known as casting, and this basically casting is divided into two types. One is static casting and another is dynamic casting. So the casting is basically divided into two types. One is static casting and another is dynamic casting. So static casting will be performed during the compile time. This will be performed during the compile time, and this is during the runtime. Okay, now in the case of your static casting, the compiler is not going to check for the source and destination types. Like it can be between different data types. It is not going to check for the type of your casting. But here, the dynamic casting is going to check for the type of your source and destination. Type of source and destination, and this is happening during the runtime and this is happening during the runtime. Now, what do I mean by checking the source and destination? For example, in the static casting, you can convert one data type to another data type. You can convert int data type to a string data type, or you can convert a byte data type to a int data type. You can convert any one data type to any other data type. You can convert int to real. One example also we'll see, okay, but not now. We'll see later. So you can basically convert from any one data type to another data type. You don't need, the compiler is not going to check for the data type at all. But here during the dynamic casting, the compiler is going to check for the type of the source and destination. For example. Okay, first, how to perform this dynamic casting? The syntax for your dynamic casting is dollar cast destination handle or destination data type followed by source data type, or you can say source handle. Okay. Now, what we need to perform the casting, on which two handles we need to perform the casting, on these two handles you need to perform the casting. Okay. So you need to assign this C underscore h2 and P underscore h. So you're going to simply write down dollar cast C underscore H, comma, P underscore H. So this is what you're going to write. So you're simply going to write down dollar cast C underscore H, comma, P underscore H. Now, this will be allowed. Why it is being allowed? Because, okay, let me show you one more thing. Why it is allowed? Let me show you with one example. It will be more clear. So here we have made the assignment. P underscore H, it is pointing to child class object. That's why if we perform the casting, let me comment to this line and let me perform the casting dollar cast C underscore H2, comma, P underscore H. And let me run this and let me show you what is happening over here. See, now it's working and it's showing the displaying from the child class. Now, let's say if I comment this line, this is what many of them miss this particular point. Dynamic casting is going to check for the handle type. Let me save this and let me run this particular code and let me show you what is going to happen if we are missing this assignment, that is P underscore H is equal to C underscore H, and let me run it and let me show you. See, it is still showing from the parent class only. Casting is not happening at all. Can you able to see? So casting will be happening if we are going to, yeah, here we are going to get a runtime error also. Illegal conversion to object of child class from object of parent class. You cannot convert from child class to parent class. That is what this casting is showing you. So casting, it is going to check whether these two handles belong to a one class or not. Since you were making the assignment previously, then only the casting was allowed. This is the major point. Sorry, not this particular point, this point. So this is the major point many of us miss. Okay, so we think that if we do the casting, things will be happening. No, casting will check whether the two handles are of same type or not. Is it clear, guys? Yes or no? Is it clear? Shall I repeat it one more time? Okay, let me repeat myself one more time. So what is happening over here is, let's say we have a parent class object as well as a child class handle which is pointing to child class object. Okay, and let if we let's say one more object also we have over here. Okay, now if we are trying to cast this to, okay, let's say if we are going to trying to cast this p underscore h and c underscore h. Okay, so let's say if I'm trying to write down c underscore h2 is equal to p underscore h. Is it allowed or is it not allowed? Can anyone tell me? This is obviously not allowed, right? Because child cannot point to a parent, so that's why it's obviously not allowed. Now, if we are going to use casting, dollar cast C underscore H2, comma, P underscore H. Now, what do you mean by casting? Casting is nothing but conversion of one data type to another data type. Okay, conversion of source data type to destination data type. Okay, so here what you are trying to do, you are trying to point towards, you are trying to point this child to one particular handle that is P underscore H. Okay, so this C underscore H is child class handle and this P underscore H is parent class handle. So casting will not allow because these two are of different. Your child cannot point to a parent now. That is what you are going to get to, the error over here. So let me show you the error. So it is basically showing you that illegal conversion to object of class child class from object of class parent, because we these two are this is my parent and this is my child. Now let's say if you are going to have this assignment p underscore h is equal to c underscore h1, that means what you are doing, this parent class handle is now pointing towards a child class object. That means your parent handle is acting as a child class handle. Okay, then this particular assignment will be valid because this p underscore h is now a child class handle, is now a child class handle. So you can convert one child to another child. That means your one child handle can point towards another child handle. I mean, one child handle can point towards another child object because your p underscore h is now acting as a child class object. That's why casting will be allowed. So here the conclusion over here is casting will make sure that both the handles belong to same class or not. If the polymorphism rules are not being satisfied, then casting will not allow. Okay, that is the dynamic casting. Dynamic casting will make sure that the type of source and destination are same or not, whereas your static casting is not at all going to check for the type. Okay, static casting is going to happen during the compile time and dynamic casting is going to happen during the runtime. Is it clear, guys? No? Waiting for other responses also.